So hey guys, welcome to our new AMA session today, and as always, as you guys know, we will start with a few updates from the most recent developments here at savedroid. First of all, let me already remind you to our tomorrow's community barbecue, which is taking place here at our office at Hanauer Landstraße 121 in Frankfurt. So whoever should be around, you're cordially invited. We will have some nice German sausages, some good beer, and of course some good discussions with the whole community. So please feel free to join. We will also post the link to the event right below here in the comment section, so that you can easily visit the event and just tell us if you want to participate. Would be nice, so that we can plan accordingly. I think until now we have already more than 100 people who would want to attend. We have more than additional 200 being interested in the event. So hopefully we get a good crowd together and we have a very good barbecue tomorrow night. Sun and nice weather are all there. Looks good currently. So hopefully this will stay and we can then use our yard to do the barbecue. This will be great. So I'm really looking forward to this and meeting you guys in person for the first time. I think this will be much better than only communicating through the webcam all the time. So whoever wants to participate is more than welcome. Please, guys, just let us know and sign up for our event, which has been posted here in the comments. So now to the facts. So as you guys know, we are currently closing all the mintings which are still open. So what is, and this is one of the top questions also in the community, what is the current status? Let me tell you. So KYC is now done. So that means that for all the guys who have filled up KYC in time, that's all done, so that also the minting could be completed. We have now the minting completed for the public sale. Of course, the credit cards, as all of you know, which do have a time delay of 180 days as imposed by our credit card payment provider, they are still out. They have, of course, not yet been minted. And what's now up next in order to complete the minting is the minting of the bounty tokens. And the bounty tokens are being minted still this week. So then the minting process should be completed. Now, one question which is there in the community is, what about my tokens? I'm still waiting for them, but I have not received them yet. And for most of the questions which you received, the case why that happens is that you did not yet set your minting mode, right? So therefore, let me please explain. So if you guys log into our ICO website, please click on your profile name, on your email address, which you see, and visit your profile. In your profile, you will find one button or one menu item which says minting mode. And this is the one which you need to set to mint all tokens if you want to receive all of your savedroid tokens to your individual wallet, right? Because if you have a different minting mode set, say test minting, that would mean that only 100 SVDs have been test minted so far. The other ones have not yet been minted. And if you have sticked to the option, keep my SVDs with savedroid, then the tokens are being held on the savedroid wallet. So therefore, if you are stuck with this question, please do check your user profile, log in, check your minting mode, and if you want to receive all your tokens, please do set your minting mode to mint all, and then you're going to receive your tokens as soon as possible. So this I just wanted to put up front for all the guys asking. So now that our minting comes to the end and we were able also to calculate the final numbers, I wanted to let you guys know that out of the total of 6 billion tokens which were up for sale, we actually sold 4.2 billion. So this is 70% out of the total tokens up for sale. And then, of course, as you know, the unsold tokens will be proportionally burned also from the buckets which have not been up to sale, so that the free float at the end will stick to 60%, as mentioned in the white paper. So that means that the total number of tokens will be 7 billion tokens instead of 10 billion, which was the max number available, because the difference, so all the 3 billion tokens are going to be burned, right? And if you then compare that, a total of 7 billion tokens, thereof a free float which has been sold of 4.2 billion, that brings us to a free float ratio of 60%, which is exactly as written in the white paper. So this is then basically delivering on the promise here to burn all the unsold tokens, and that will then happen once the minting is completed, so that the eventual number of tokens is then fixed. As I said, number of sold tokens eventually is then 4.2 billion. Number of total tokens of savedroid tokens is 7 billion token, which gives us a free float of 60%, and which is as compared to the max number of possible tokens, 70% of the total, so that you also know the statistics. Now, there has been one question in the community, and I want also to comment on this upfront before we start the Q&A. There was, as some of our community already noticed, a minor issue with some double minting. So in total, significantly less than 1% of tokens have been double minted. And actually, the good thing about that one is that the community members who have received too many tokens openly came to us and telling us that they received too many tokens, and already offering us that they are willing to send the tokens back. And therefore, basically, I think this is a very strong sign for a good and healthy community. Basically, the community supporting us in recovering this issue by offering to already send back their tokens. So highly appreciated. Thanks so much, guys, for being that honest and that open, and also supporting basically a strong community by this honesty in order to be willing to send back the tokens. And of course, since all our token buyers who have been affected by this double minting are known to us because it's all KYC'd now, we will of course reach out to all the other ones and also kindly ask in order to support us in collecting back these additional tokens, right? So the goal here is how to deal with this double minting issue. Some of you guys who have received more tokens than planned already offered us to send back the tokens, and they will send back them soon once we enable token sending. And all the other ones we will address, and we do hope that they also commit to the community spirit by basically sending back these tokens. And I think this is a very strong sign for a healthy community, for a real support of the project to also support us where this issue happened, and then basically sending back the tokens in order to clarify the whole situation so that there is no harm for the full community. So thanks a lot. Therefore, I believe this is a very strong sign of you guys who came back to us already and letting us know that you are willing to support here. This is highly, highly, highly appreciated. Thanks a lot for this one. Then the other topic which is there, right? Because you know, once the minting is done, we are talking about the exchange listing. So now the question is, when will the exchange listing start? And what I've already told in the last AMA sessions is that currently the situation with all the crypto exchanges is quite a struggle, right? So we do have on the one hand side basically exchanges which have significantly increased the pricing of the listing. As I told you, some exchanges are asking for 1 million, 2 million, 3 million US dollars just to get listed. This, of course, is not something which we are supporting. On the other hand side, and this is the second dimension which is there currently at the market for exchanges, that many exchanges are now reviewing their listing criteria and listing requirements, right? And this is actually, I think, a very good effort by the exchanges in order to increase the quality of listed projects and thereby also to help to make the whole market more sustainable. And now exactly this is the case also for our top 5 exchange with whom we are in very close contact. So indeed, I had a good call with them this morning to clarify about the current status, about the current situation, and when we can start our listing. And the situation here is as follows, so that this exchange, as many other exchanges also, is currently reviewing the listing requirements. So we have talked through the listing requirements, which will then be finalized over the next weeks. And I think this is the right step to go for, because whatever they are changing is purely in the direction of really securing a higher level of listed projects, which I think is very healthy for the total market. So this is actually very good news. Now, the downside to this one is that the listing process will take a bit longer because the guys need to get the listing requirements finalized first. And once they are finalized, then we can actually agree to these listing requirements, and then we can list our token. So to cut the long story short, that actually means that if we go ahead with this top 5 exchange, it will take a bit longer time than we originally expected. So therefore, how do we now go about this one, right? And I believe the fairest option is to let the community vote for 2 options which are currently out there. So option 1 being is we can start and go ahead with the exchange listing very soon if we stick to the exchanges whose names we have already announced. This would be HitBTC, this would be Bancor, this would be Tidex, this would be IDEX. So with these exchanges, we can go ahead extremely soon. This is just a question of days. Now, if we want to also get in the top 5, this will take us a few weeks from here, right? So now the 2 options are start trading immediately in a few days, or wait for the top 5 to join the community of the exchanges and then have the token listed at the same time at all exchanges, but then wait a few weeks, right? And we don't want to take this decision down to the community because we believe we should involve the community here. So what we will do is we will launch a community voting which is based on the number of tokens held by every single token buyer. So that means that if you have 100 tokens, you're going to have 100 votes. If you have 1 million tokens, you're going to have 1 million votes. And you can actually then decide for your own what's your preferred listing strategy. And we as savedroid are committed to the community opinion. So we want to hear your voting, we want to deliver on your voting, and we will then execute the outcome of this voting. We believe that this is the most democratic process, this is the most efficient process in order to hear the voice of our community, and also to show you guys that we really take your feedback serious and we want to act upon this. So again, as I just explained, to wrap that up, what we will do is we will launch a community voting about the exchange listing strategies. Strategy 1 being start in a few days with HitBTC, Bancor, Tidex, IDEX, or wait a few weeks and then have the top 5 exchange in to start at all exchange at the same time. And you will be able to vote on these 2 options. You have as many votes as you own SVD. So 100 SVD, 100 votes, 1 million SVD, 1 million votes. Then the voting is going to happen starting end of this week. We will notify everyone by Telegram, by email, in the social media channels so that you cannot miss out on the vote. We will make sure that everybody has the opportunity to vote. Then we will openly communicate the voting results. And if you vote for option 1, we will execute option 1. If you vote for option 2, we will execute option 2. We believe that this is the most fairest way in order to deal with that, instead of now taking a management decision which may not be in line with the preference in our community. So therefore, we are actually going for this community voting, hoping that this is also in the best interest of everyone of our token holders. So that's basically the update on the exchanges. And last but not least, of course, we also do want to provide, as promised in the last session, always when we do an AMA, an update on the product development. So what's the status there? Here I have to tell 2 good news. So the first one being, if you look to the technical development, we are advancing fast. So from our new app, we have already developed now the first part. So the login is done. Basically, how you create a wish you want to save up for. This section of the application is also done. How you set up a smooth, so a savings rule in order to save the crypto is also done. So here, if you look to our timeline in IT development, we are making very good progress towards the beta launch, which has been communicated for this summer already. So I think here we are currently advancing fast, which is good in the product dimension. Also, because this has been a question in the previous AMA sessions, the business partnership agreements are now really being close to signature of the first business partnership. So we will for sure be able in the next days, in the next weeks, to announce the first B2B partnerships, which will help us to even kickstart our product development. We have used the last weeks in order to sit down with the potential partners to negotiate really good deals for savedroid, for our community, and therefore now the announcements will come over the next days and weeks, so that also we have very good news flow through the process of getting the token listed. I think this is already helpful. And if we look to the second dimension of product development, which is basically ramping up our team, recruiting is a very important topic. Then, here we're also making good progress. I think most of you already saw, hopefully, on our social media channels that we were able to hire Professor Dr. Danko Nikolic for leading of our AI operations. So the goal of AI, as you all know in savedroid, is to develop an algorithm which will help us to pick the individual coins and tokens in order to build the portfolios which we want to offer in our application, but also to get good algorithms for to identify more savings potential, to help people to better achieve their savings goals. So this is what we are building on our roadmap, and you can see the detailed roadmap milestones if you look to our website. And we are really proud that we could hire and win for our project Professor Danko Nikolic, who is really a capacity in this field. He brings more than 18 years of business experience. He has worked for Max Planck Institute. He has worked in the fields of brain research. So it's really the hardcore stuff which you need in order to build an AI which also deserves the name of an AI. So this is actually great news that he will be on board starting also from this summer. Then we have also upgraded our team by adding a new lead backend architect. Her name is Ruchali. She brings more than 25 years of business experience. She's also worked for large corporations, which is very good, so that we have more extensive knowledge for our IT team. I think this has been also a very relevant hire for us. And here also to give back to the community, we have just hired Toby, our new community manager. He started off work this week, and I think this is also very important. We heard the voice that people were complaining about the service level which we had on our Telegram channel, about a bit too long waiting periods until we were able to respond to your questions. And of course, this is nothing what is our plan. We want to be there for the community. We want to be able to answer fast. Therefore, we have recruited a new in-house community manager who will work full-time on getting the questions of the community answered, of improving the quality of our community service which we are doing. So therefore, I think this is also good news in terms of team ramp up. So 3 positions have been already filled. And if you guys would be also interested in working for savedroid in the future, which would be a really cool thing, then please do have a look, and we will also post it here in the section on the comments, to the team section of our ICO landing page. There you can see all the open job positions which we are now looking to fill. If you would be interested by yourself, please feel free to join us, to send in your applications. If you would know someone who could be a potential candidate, please spread the word. Please forward our job applications and our job descriptions to your contacts. Help us to fill the positions. This will also help to build our product even faster, so that we can make a good progress, because that is what we are now really getting focused on, to even speed up the product development process. And as I said, again, to summarize this one, product development is currently going fast on the IT side. Team ramp up is also going very well. We have some very good experienced hires who bring great experience into the savedroid ecosystem. This is highly appreciated, and this will help us in the future. So that's basically about the initial updates. A quick reminder again to tomorrow's barbecue event. If you want to join, please have a look at the comment section here. Please do sign up. Please let us know. It would be great to see you guys in person instead of just talking to a webcam. I think this will be much nicer, to have a beer, to have a sausage together, and to discuss in real life your questions about savedroid and meet our full team. Visit us here at our office, Hanauer Landstraße in Frankfurt. So that's basically the updates which we had today for you. And now basically what I would want to do is I would want to jump into the questions from the community. So let me see what we have here as questions. So Finn is posting the first question here. When is the listing? So partially I've already answered. For the listing now we do have the two options. Either do the listing in a very few days once the minting is completed at a smaller set of exchanges, so without the top 5, or wait for a few weeks, and we will also in the voting process announce the exact dates which would be realistic, or wait longer and have the top 5 exchange in. And by basically doing that as a community voting, the community has the option to vote for the preferred choice, right? And thereby actually we kindly ask you guys to participate in this community voting and to let us know for which option we should go for. I believe that this is a good way in order to get the community involved. And then we have from Bobby here and also from Sergio, I think the questions are a bit overlapping. Bobby is asking where is the bounty, and Sergio is asking when do you finish delivery. So as I briefly already said in the beginning, we are now done with the public sale minting. If you are still looking for your tokens to be minted, but you did not receive them yet, then the potential issue, and that's the high probability for that one, is that you have not yet set your minting mode in your user profile correctly. So please do log in to your account and check your minting mode, right? And there, if you want to receive your tokens, the minting mode must be set to mint all tokens to my wallet. So please do check that if that should be the background for the questions. But other than that, the delivery, the minting of the public sale is done, and bounty, dear Bobby, bounty will now be minted in the course of this week. So then also the bounty minting will be completed. I hope that this basically answer the question for this. Just list it, then we will know you guys are for real. Portia is saying yes, that's exactly what we will do. And here again, we want to follow the voice and the preference of the community. Therefore, it's basically the community voting which will come up. Then Simon is saying here, if it's very expensive to list, why are you looking for multiple exchanges? Very good question, Simon. See, here actually is a huge trade-off in the market, right? In order to have high liquidity, in order to offer good solutions for our community, it's a requirement to have our token listed at different exchanges, because the community, and that's what we understood throughout the whole ICO process, is really interested in having multiple exchanges so that everyone can select his favorite exchange. People do have preference for the one or the another exchange. It may be also due to local and regional regulations that not every resident of one country can sign up for a trading account at every exchange. Then some people do have a preference for decentralized exchanges, others for centralized exchanges. So, and just to deal with this complexity and this diversity in the community, and also to ensure a higher liquidity, it's important to have the token listed in different exchanges. Now, at the same time, and that's the con argument to it, listing the token at different exchanges comes with some cost, right? And this is the listing fee and the listing cost which is there, and which has been recently been significantly increased by some of the exchanges, not by all, but by some. So now the question is, how can you get to optimal solution combining these 2 points, right? So on the one hand side, getting the token listed at multiple exchanges, and on the other hand side, not burning too much money on having all these exchanges. And therefore, and that's the strategy we followed so far, and the strategy will also continue going forward, is basically identify exchanges which do have favorable listing fees and a good reputation at the same time. And then basically selecting these exchanges. And if you focus on exactly these exchanges, having a reasonable listing fees and having a good reputation, good liquidity in the market, I think then we can come to the best solution for the community here. And that's what we are trying to do. So Simon, I hope that this basically answers your question why it does make sense to have multiple exchange listings, while at the same time this comes at some cost. Then Finn is is asking here, is it possible to reveal the top 5 exchange and list earlier on the others? Would give huge price boost. Yeah, I do agree, Finn. Indeed, that would make sense. Now, the unfortunate thing to this one is that one of the listing requirements of this top 5 exchange is that you are not allowed in order to disclose the name before you get actually listed, right? And this is where, unfortunately, this strategy does not work. I would want to do this because I'm with you. I would fully buy in that indeed, if we would be able to do that, that would be the best strategy. Unfortunately, this strategy is not possible because it's one of the listing requirements of the top 5 exchange that you are not allowed in any case, under any circumstance, to disclose their name before the exchange itself reveals the name. So they have the right of first disclosure, and that is basically kind of a contract you are entering into and to which you are bound. So unfortunately, Finn, this will not really work. Also, I would really love to do that. Yeah, Finn's also saying no scam, great project. Thanks for that. Yeah, the other thing, reveal the name of the top 5. Just said I would really love to do that. Unfortunately, we cannot. I hope that you guys can understand that. I hope that you bear with us for this one. Therefore, and I think this is how we want to also give back that respect which you bring to us by basically respecting that we cannot reveal the name, that we bring the respect to you, that we give you the opportunity to vote for your favoring listing strategy. And by voting for the favorite listing strategy, we do hope that this shows our appreciation for the voice of the community. So therefore, hopefully, this is also a good strategy which you guys like. Coinbadi, also back. I think you were also there in the last AMA sessions. Great to have you again here. So how much total investment received? I think around 50 million. It would be better to join only one exchange from top with investment that received and list Binance with 4 exchanged that announced before. So the total funding volume, you saw that also in the press, has been roughly, and this is now the question of currency you're looking to, has been roughly 40 million euro. So if you're looking to US, yes, you are at the 50 roughly. Now, basically saying, does it make sense to invest so much money in just one exchange listing? We do have discussed that internally, and our feeling really is, and this is basically also the feedback which we got from the community, that I think here investing an amount of up to, say, 3 million for just one exchange listing does not sound reasonable any which way, independent of the name of the exchange, independent of how much money we have raised, because if you look towards that, what we can do with this 3 million in terms of product development, in terms of user acquisition, so basically fostering the ecosystem for the savedroid token and basically bringing on more users to the savedroid ecosystem, which will again boost the value of the token, I think the impact can be much bigger than just investing these 3 million for an exchange listing. And this is currently how we are thinking about this one, that by basically investing 3 million in just one exchange listing, this is not the best use of the funds which we have collected, because we can have a much bigger impact and a much better impact for the community if we do invest these funds for our product, for our user growth, and thereby directly supporting the value development of the savedroid token. I think that this is the more relevant, the more meaningful strategy at this point in time. Then Sergio is asking, when will we finish the minting of the credit card tokens, so all the tokens which have been bought by credit card? Here the process and the strategy is as follows. So all the tokens which have been paid by credit card are locked for 180 days. This is a requirement by our payment provider. So meaning the payment provider will release the credit card payments only after 180 days towards us as a company. We cannot touch the funds before. right? And this is the reason why we cannot also mint the tokens before. Because if we would mint the tokens before, this would just open all the doors for scamming here. And at the end, this would be at the expense of all the token buyers who have paid in Bitcoin, and Ethereum, in fiat via bank transfer. Because what would happen is that basically we mint the tokens, then you could do a chargeback on your credit card. So you get back your money, you have already received your tokens, and therefore we have basically handed out the tokens, but we have not received any money. So these guys would then just free ride, and therefore we can just not do that. So this is basically a legal requirement by our payment provider, which we cannot change, and we need to comply with that for security reasons. So Sergio, I do hope that you can understand that we need to comply with this 180 days, and the 180 days are then being counted from the day where the purchase has been paid using the credit card, right? So if you have bought, say, for example, your savedroid token using your credit card on the 12th of February, then it's 12th of February plus 180 days. And that's then the exact day when the tokens can be minted to all the ones who used credit card payment. I hope that this basically answers your question, Sergio. Then Rainer is asking, for how many days the community voting will last. So our goal is to have this basically done in optimally 3 days. Yeah, this will be the official starting period which we will launch. So the idea is really to notify everyone, that we make sure that nobody will actually miss the voting, right? You know that we have KYC'd everyone, so we have email addresses, we do have our Telegram group, we have all the social media channels, so it should be possible to reach everyone. We will of course then not only send one notification, but many, and we will make sure that we get significant votes in. Yeah? So therefore, the initial goal would be to close that in 3 days. If we should see, which I don't expect at this point in time, if we should see, however, that we would not come to a significant amount of votes, or that the votings are being very close, that both options are close to the 50%, then we would actually want to extend a bit, to get even more votes in, and to see if we can get a clear majority for one of the two options. But my perception at this point in time, since it's really a high priority topic, since everyone is very excited about this topic of getting the token listed, I would assume that we have a high quota of token buyers participating. I would also expect that we can get the votes together in a very short period of time, and I would also expect that we get a clear voting result on this one. So therefore, the initial planned period would be 3 days, and if we see that this should not be sufficient for which reason soever, not sufficient number of votes or very close voting results, close to 50-50, then we would want to extend a bit, but originally we would fix it to 3 days. I hope, Rainer, that this answers your question. Then Daniel is asking, why do we have so many new admins in the Telegram group, and why is it changing so much over time? So here in the Telegram group, this is what I mentioned in the intro, maybe for the late joiners, let me explain. We did have indeed over the last weeks a bit a lack of a coverage at the service level in our Telegram group, and therefore we have now reacted. We have hired with the effective starting date this week Monday, so yesterday, a new community manager. His name is Toby, so the same first name as of our co-founder Tobias Zander, and Toby will now be exclusively responsible for the community management. So it will be one of his key priorities in order to stabilize the community management in the Telegram group, to also upgrade the quality of questions which can be answered by all the other admins. So we want to change the high fluctuation, we want to bring the service level up, and we have reacted to that by hiring a full-time resource who is experienced in this field and who can handle this job. So therefore, we are working with this one. The new hire is already on board, and Toby will take care of this with first and highest priority in order to get that fixed. and to get the Telegram group back to a best-in-class service level as we used to be in the past already. And we need to apologize that over the last weeks, indeed, and you're fully right, the service level has not been at the quality level which we aspire ourselves to have for the community. So therefore, yes, this must be improved and will be improved. Toby is now here and he will handle it. So I think we have addressed this one. Then Rasmus is saying, I trust this team 100%. This will be a big deal. Just wait. Thanks so much, Rasmus. It's highly appreciated also to hear the positive feedback. Always good, not only for myself, but even more for the team who's working hard in the background and who are pushing the product so that we can deliver against our roadmap. I think this is exactly a good motivation, which brings us even closer together and which makes us work faster and more efficient. So thanks, Rasmus, for your kind words. Then Jamin is asking here, how does it feel that you guys said listing begins April, then you guys said first week of May, and now you start the survey to gain some more time? Just be honest and say that your team doesn't get this done. Jamin, thanks for your critical feedback here. As you know, we don't filter the questions. We are also there for the critical feedback comments. That's why I'm really going through all the feedback points one-on-one. Indeed, and that's what I also said at the beginning. We did want to have the listing earlier. If you're asking for the reasons behind that, I explained already partially in the last AMA. We did have a major fuck up with the KYC process, which required a lot of manual work. I think the guys who have watched all the AMAs do know that with the service provider, which we contracted for the KYC, unfortunately, we had an issue that the system generated a lot of errors, right? The promise was that it would actually auto-match all the pictures and then have a high efficiency level. At the end, it turned out to be a very crappy system. And so what we needed to do is we needed to do a high number of KYC. And you know, we had more than 35,000 backers in the sale, and we needed to do a high number of them manually. So the whole team sat there day and night shifts in order to go through. But unfortunately, this really took time, right? So this was one of the key reasons why it now took such a long time in order to complete the whole process of KYC and then the minting. This is the first and far most important reason for the timely delay. And now, as I said, the community voting does not have to do anything with the delay which has been caused by the KYC. The reason why we want to let the community vote is that basically we want to make sure that we can, as savedroid, follow the listing process which is most appreciated by the community. So therefore, we really want to get your guys' feedback, right? If we now would want to kickstart it, the solution would be very simple. We just leave out the top 5, we go to the other ones, and we can list the token within a few days. But this is not what we are doing, and we are on purpose now asking the community for their feedback, because if the community would decide for option 2, which is wait for the bigger exchange to be on board, then we are also happy to follow this route. As you guys know, we are open for positive feedback, we are open for negative feedback. The important thing is we are always listening to what the community is saying, and we are reacting upon it, because we are taking this feedback for serious and we are not playing around with the community. And I think this is actually one very important message which needs to be very clear, that we don't want to decide things for the sake of having things being decided, but we want to get your feedback in order to see if you guys are also happy with the job which we are doing. So now fully I can understand that we are a bit behind the timeline of listing the token. It's now basically 2 to 3 weeks behind the timeline which we originally communicated. But the reason for that, the major fuck up, was at the KYC process. And now with the listing we can be fast. If the community would vote for option 1, if the community votes for option 2, and this is the other possibility, then it will take a bit more time. But we leave that open to the community. And I think this is the important thing to understand here. So Jamie, to come back to your criticism, I agree to the point. It has taken longer than we told in the first place, but we are transparently reporting why that is the case and what has been the issue. And now we are proactively working on a good solution which makes the community happy. And I believe that this is actually the best what you can do to engage with your community if things don't work as expected up front, and then to find together a good solution which is in the best interest of all participants. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. And I hope that this is also a good solution then for the community. So thanks so much, Jamin, for bringing also up these critical points, because I think it's important to have this controversial discussion also happening in a community. And I think a strong community can only exist if there's also going on a controversial discussion. So therefore, thanks a lot. Then we have one question here. According to the roadmap, you are releasing a beta version of the app in Q2 2018. Is it going as planned? Yes. So for all the late joiners, let me briefly wrap up what I told about the status of the product development. So the product development is currently going as planned. We are making very good progress, not only, by the way, on the application itself in terms of technology. Here, the login process is already programmed. We have how you set up a wish is done, how you set up a smooth is done. So really key and essential parts of the apps have already been programmed. So here we are fully in line with our roadmap. And now even further than that, we will now be able to announce the first B2B partnerships very soon, which will help us to even be faster in terms of product development. We are now about to sign the first contracts here, and I'm very positive that we will be able to announce the first names of our B2B partners already over the next days and weeks. So this is already as in accordance with the roadmap. And also, if you look to the team ramp up, this is another positive thing. We've already filled 3 positions. I've already mentioned Toby, our new community manager. We have as our leader of AI, Professor Danko Nikolic, who is really capacity in this field. He brings more than 18 years of experience, Max Planck Institute. He has worked for several universities in the field of brain research. So this is really the nerdy stuff which you need in order to build an AI which really deserves the name of an AI, not just an algorithm. So I think this is really a strong hire which we have here. And then also in terms of techies, we have been able to win Ruchali, who brings more than 25 years of business experience in this field. She has worked for several big corporations, also on an international level. So I think you can see here, it's really senior hires, it's experienced people we are bringing on board in order to kickstart our project. Also, if you look to the product development in terms of ramping up the team, I can say that currently we are making good progress. And again, let me kindly ask you guys from the community, if you know good guys who would be motivated to work for a project as savedroid, or if you yourself would be motivated to join our team, please do feel free and send in your applications. You will be able to find all the job descriptions we are currently looking to fill on our website. It's ico.savedroid.com/team. And we will also post it here in the comment section below the video. So you guys only need to click. You can have a look at all the job descriptions which are there. So please feel free to apply. Please feel free to spread the word if you know someone who could actually be a value add to the savedroid team. Highly appreciated. So thanks for supporting this one. Then Khaled is asking here, savedroid is a great project, or is actually commenting, savedroid is a great project. Wish you all the luck, guys. Thanks so much, Khaled. Highly appreciated. It's always nice to have positive feedback. Thanks so much. Then Timmel is saying here, Dr. Yassin, how did the community and partners react to the great prank 2 weeks ago, and did you regret it? So it's good that someone is asking this one again. The action which we did 2 weeks ago, basically we have now of course reflected to this one already in the last AMA which we did 2 weeks ago. I was telling that of course we are highly apologetic for this one. We need to say sorry because we do understand that we gave to the token buyers, to other partners being involved with savedroid, a very hard time, an emotionally hard time. And we are feeling sorry for that, and we are apologizing very genuinely and very honestly to everyone who had a bad time because of this action which we did. And of course, yes, we have learned our lesson. We will definitely not repeat it. This must be very clear. I think the way that we followed here was not the correct one. It didn't work out as expected for us, actually, and that's the important part. The story behind, the reason why we did it, this is the important part. So it was not about the action itself. So the means, the way we did it was for sure not the right one. We apologize for this one, but the message which we wanted to convey, we are sticking to this one, and we are now working very intensely, and that's exactly to your question. So to the community, to business partners, to our shareholders which we have, we're working now very proactively in order to communicate what was our motivation, why are we actually doing that. And let me just summarize that also we have it here in this AMA, and that everyone who did not yet have the chance to understand can at least see the reason behind the whole action that we did. For us, we really saw through the process of our ICO, the 4 months that we are working day and night 24/7, that we are confronted with so much scam going on, and the guys who have been part of our ICO do know that from the past. We had web pages being cloned of the savedroid ICO website, being put up on different domain names. Then the scammers actually paid for Google AdWords campaigns in order to grab the traffic, bring the people there. And of course, what they did is they exchanged the wallet addresses you should send your Bitcoin or Ether to. And then whoever did that lost all the crypto they sent to these scammers. And of course, you did not buy any SVDs. Then we had all the guys scamming in the Telegram group. Here we had all the fake accounts of our admins. They copied the profiles from Lucien, the profiles from Tobias, from whoever was there, and then basically writing to community members, promising them some 30% bonus, which was not there in fact, and then also trying to rip off their cryptocurrencies and scam the guys, and many different other things, which at the end, over all these 4 months, we clearly came to the point where we say we can now not just close our eyes just because our ICO is over, so whatever comes after us we are not interested in, but we reached a point throughout these 4 months by being confronted with all the scam 24/7 where we said we must communicate that. We must put this information out there, and we actually must warn the community that the market as it works today is not sustainable. And I think this is the key point. Our only content message which we wanted to convey here is that the ICO market as it functions today, given all the scam activities, will not be sustainable. But, and this is now the second point of the message, the ICO market must be sustainable. And we do have a genuine economic interest of the ICO market being sustainable. And I think also you as a community do have a very important stake in the ICO market being sustainable. And let me give you the very simple reason. Because if the ICO market will not work in the future, this will basically mean that there may also be an issue in the token prices of the already post-ICO companies. So token prices may significantly decrease. And in a situation like this, and we have seen that before in other bubbles or in other crisis situations, then the market does not differentiate anymore. Nobody is interested if your project is performing better than another project. At the end, there's just a big sell-off and just the prices go down significantly. You lose a high amount of the value of the tokens, which are already also in the past ICO stage. And this is, of course, what we do want to prevent, and where we, as now a new community member in the crypto space, do have an economic interest in order to protect the value of our token, and thereby in order to protect the value for our community. And that's basically the point why we say it's important to make clear that the market as it currently works is too scammy. We need to work on that in order to make it sustainable. And this is where we want to chip in our 2 cents, what we can do as a small startup. You are actually participating already tonight in one of the action points that we now do the AMA sessions every 2 to 4 weeks. We do them in English, we do them in German. We have committed ourselves to go through all of the questions. We are not filtering questions. We have committed ourselves to give an operational update in every single AMA session. So many other companies are not doing that, in fact. And the other thing happens tomorrow night, our barbecue event. We want to make very clear that we are there for the community. We are approachable. So you guys know where our office is. You can visit us at our office. You can come here. You can have a beer with us. And I think that's important to make it clear that we are not an anonymous internet company, but we are here in Frankfurt and everybody is invited to come to our office and to meet us. So being accessible for the community. And then the third point is, and this is also a proof point, what we are delivering tonight is we are basically open for community feedback and we are actively involving the community. That's why we are now imposing the community voting in order to make it very clear that we take the community serious. And I believe that if you sum that up, being transparent about developments, also discussing critical questions, being accessible for the community by inviting the community to events, being open for community feedback and taking this one up by doing regular community votings is the best way in order to build trust going forward, in order to bring in transparency and in order to make the market sustainable. And that is basically the 2 cents what we can do in our savedroid ecosystem. We're fully committed to that. And then beyond that, what we want to do is we want to partner up with other players in the crypto market who have the same vibes about the current status of the market and the future perspectives of the market than we do. And we want to actually form a group of people who are then proactively driving the establishment of higher ICO quality standards. And that's what we are all in for. So this was the reason behind. So therefore, sorry that I now talked a bit long on this topic, but I think it's a very important one. But to come back to your question, Timur, the reaction, of course, was negative, was highly emotional. We feel extremely sorry for that because we do know that we gave a hard time to the stakeholders out there. We have learned our lesson. We will not repeat. But what is important now is to look forward and to answer the question, how can we improve from here? And I think we want to deliver some very clear points. I've just mentioned them all. We are open for the community. We are hearing your voice, and that's what we are chipping in here. And we do want to partner up with others to make the whole thing more sustainable. So what we did and how we did it was for sure not the right way, but if you look to the reason why and to the content which you wanted to transport, I think this was still the right thing to do, and we are now working towards establishing these higher quality standards in order to make the market more sustainable. So that's basically to this question. So then Henning is asking here, but when we need to wait for 180 days, it's unfair when you open exchange before. So Henning's question here, let me just explain for the guys who cannot basically understand what's meant by the 180 days. So whoever purchased savedroid tokens and paid with them for by using their credit card is actually locked down to a minting period of 180 days. Right, so meaning if you would have bought your savedroid tokens using your credit card on February 10th, then you actually need to wait 180 days from February 10th until we can mint the token to you. The reason for that being is not that we want to do that, but that our payment provider has imposed this threshold upon us, which means that we will only get access to your credit card payment and to the money after these 180 days. And that's why we can only release the tokens after these 180 days, right? So it's nothing which we came up with, but this is a regulatory and a legal thing which we need to compliant with from our payment provider. Now, the question here, is that unfair? To that one, our open and honest feedback is no, because we informed everybody before paying by credit card. So everyone who selected credit card as payment option was informed upfront that if he pays by credit card, the consequence will be that the tokens can only mint it after 180 days. So the people knew upfront, right? And we had so many different payment options that everybody could freely choose another payment option, right? You could pay by Bitcoin, you could pay by Ethereum. We accepted more than 55 different other cryptocurrencies you could use. We accepted bank transfer, we accepted Sofortüberweisung within Europe, and credit cards. So credit cards was only one out of so many different means of payment. So you had really the free choice, and we informed everybody who went for the credit card option that there would be the 180 days, so you knew upfront. So therefore, I really think that now saying this was unfair is not the right thing, because it was a free choice of the user and an informed choice because everybody knew upfront. So therefore, I think the decision was taken consciously by every user, and therefore now I think nobody can complain about this one. It would be a different story if we would have only disclosed that afterwards, but this was not the case. So here I would also ask, in return for the fairness, to be fair with us, that basically whoever decides on his own consciousness for paying by credit card, being aware of the 180 days period, then not complaining afterwards, because it was an informed decision which you took here. So therefore, thanks a lot, Henning, for the question. But on this one, I cannot agree that this is unfair. Then Bobby is asking here, voting, wasting time, just list at TIDEX and hit BTC. You will fake voting results to buy time. No, Bobby, we will for sure not fake any voting results. Why should we do that? It's not about buying time. It's really about getting the feedback from the community. And the reason why we are putting up this is, and let me just, Bobby, give you a bit of insight to the process, how the historic discussion went in the community when we did our ICO, and then after the ICO was closed, because the discussion about the exchange listing was going on all the time, right? And here, just to give you basically the single steps we went through, is we had HitBTC as the first exchange. Now, basically, when we announced HitBTC, there was also a lot of negative feedback from the community. So many people did not like HitBTC too much, at least at this point in time, right? Therefore, then the community was pushing by saying, look, it would be actually great if we can have more exchanges and if we can align the trading date of all the exchanges, that I'm not forced to trade tokens with HitBTC. So we picked that up and we said, look, we're going to have another option here, which is basically have a set of exchanges being orchestrated to the same day, right? So there was basically this community push saying HitBTC is not sufficient. We do want to have others. So therefore, now we have here the voice that also people do want to have the token rather listed earlier than later. And I think this is now the controversial discussion going on in the community. And I think it would be a wrong signal now to the community just deciding above your heads. This I would not want to do. Therefore, I think both arguments are valid. The argument on the one hand side saying HitBTC as the exchange as combined with TIDEX, IDEX, and Bancor is not sufficient, because I like none of them and I would really prefer to have the listing date orchestrated with a top 5 exchange, is a valid argument. On the other hand side, it's a valid argument to say I don't want to wait any longer, and for me it's more important to start trading earlier than later. Now, in order to decide between these two valid arguments, which I can see do have a rationale behind, we really want to get the opinion of the community, and there's no point of faking any voting, because I think everyone will have a very clear perspective on this one. As I saw the community discussion in the past, basically everyone has a clear preference of a listing strategy, and that's why we are now asking for this voting. And I believe that everybody will come to a very clear decision, so therefore we will also see then the voting results, and there's no point that we would fake anything. Why would we want to do that? And it's not about buying time, because as I said, the minting is finished for the public sale. Only the bounty is left, and the bounty will be done by this week. So therefore there is no point to buy any time. The only question is which listing strategy is preferred by the community, and this is what we want to openly ask. I think this is a fair way to go, and has nothing to do again with buying time. I hope, Bobby, that you can understand that. Then Rainer is saying here, The decision to list at a top 5 exchange has already been taken despite the fact you are still in negotiations. Is there any chance, given you do not come to an agreement with any of those exchanges, to not list the token finally at a top 5 exchange, or is it 100% sure that there will be a listing in the near future at a top 5 exchange? Understood your question. So what Rainer, let me just maybe put it a bit shorter so that also the rest of the guys do have a option or a possibility to understand. So what Rainer is asking is basically, what is the level of certainty that savedroid is going to be listed soon at top 5 exchange, right? Is it already a definitive agreement, or is it still very open? On this one, as I said in the intro, we are in very close talks, and we had just the last phone call today with this top 5 exchange. And here it's rather a question of time than if it will happen, right? The point is, and this is really, I'm being 100% transparent, this exchange is now refining the listing requirements. So we already talked through the listing requirements. Most of them have been set out. Other ones will be set out in the next weeks. From what we understood so far, it looks all straightforward. As I said, we do appreciate that move from this exchange because I believe that this is helping a higher level of quality. So I think it's good that the exchange is doing that. Therefore, there are no deal breakers in these terms, as we understood so far, and also there's a commitment by this exchange to basically then prioritize the projects whom they are already engaged with. So savedroid would be one of them. I think, therefore, it's rather a question of time, and this is what we need to solve for. This is now the question at the end of the day. Are we wanting to list very soon? If we want to do that, then it's without the top 5. And if we're saying we would have, say, one more month or so, and I will clarify before we start the community voting that we can up with a better perspective on the timeline on this one, then we could have the top 5 in. So it's really the time question, not so much the if question here at this moment. So I hope, Rainer, that this answers your question. Then Christian is asking, what's the size of the team right now? How many open positions you have? So currently we are 15 in the team. We have more than 10 open positions. You can find them on our website. We are now looking, of course, to close the positions first where we can have the more senior hires. I think our recruiting strategy here is to bring the senior hires in first, then basically gain leverage by getting on board the more junior hires. So that's the very clear recruiting strategy. At this point in time, we're getting in many applications already. So I think the process of growing the team is working quite well. So our eventual goal is to grow the full team from 15 to at least 25, or if even possible, this would be better, to 30 by the end of this year. Yeah? So as you can see, this is, of course, a relevant challenge for us. It's a quite fast growth. We need to make sure that we find the right candidates, that we find high quality candidates. So recruiting is one of the key priorities, and this will be also relevant for the product development speed. And therefore, I also just wanted to repeat my kind ask here to the community. If you know someone, or if you yourself would be interested to working for savedroid, it would be actually great if you can just hand in your application, or if you could refer you guys you know. This would be highly appreciated. The faster we can hire better people, the better and the faster our product development will be, and that at the end will foster the whole ecosystem. So I think this can be really positive if we can have a successful hiring process. At the moment, we are happy 3 positions are already filled. I explained earlier we're getting in a lot of applications, so therefore we are moving fast on this one, but still more than 10 open positions which we want to fill through the course of this year, and we really need the right skills and the right mindset. I think both of them are equally important for us. That's typically how we go along with recruiting, to find the right people with the right capabilities, but also the right soft skills, so that the team growth can be also healthy from a team atmosphere and team spirit perspective. This is very important. So thanks so much, Christian, for your question. Then Andre is asking, is savedroid going to invest in ICOs? So what we want to build in our product, as you know, is that we want to offer a portfolio of crypto holdings, right? And here, this is exactly where ICOs can come in. I think here the goal is that we build an algorithm where we put together a portfolio which not only consists out of the classical top 10 coins, which are already quite well known, but also altcoins, of course, and then also new ICO projects. And I think this could be the best of the two worlds by basically combining existing and already well-known coins out there, but also putting together tokens which have a good value perspective in the future. And that's exactly for what, dear Andre, we are building our algorithm in order to be able to select the right coins and tokens in order to build a good portfolio. This is exactly where Danko and his team will be working on in order to come up with a strong product solution. And therefore, yes, investing in ICOs, this is definitely on our roadmap, but this will take a bit of time, I think, until we get there. This will probably take until the end of 2019, beginning 2020. I think this is basically then, if you look to the roadmap, we are starting with a very simplistic portfolio, mostly focused on the mainstream coins, on the bigger coins. Then we're going to add established tokens to it, so increasing the diversification. And then ICOs are going to be the last bit which we want to add here in the strategy, so that every of our users can not only invest in established coins, but also in ICOs. That's the bigger vision, the bigger picture, which is there until 2020. So this will take us some time. Thanks for the question, Andre. Then Arif is saying here, Yasin, today you mentioned a genuine reason for exit scam. I really appreciate what you have done. We witness fake websites that were doing real scam. You did really do a great job, a good job. Thanks, Arif, for this positive feedback again. As I said, we also do understand all the criticism which is out there for this action. Therefore, again, my genuine apologies, and thanks, Arif, for understanding our motivation, for understanding the reason behind. And hopefully, if now we as a community can stick together, this will also send an important signal to all the scammers out there that we as a strong savedroid community are actually helping to establish better and higher quality standards. So thanks a lot for this feedback. Then Christian is asking, what marketing campaigns do you have scheduled for the next weeks or before hitting the exchanges? Very good question, Christian. Let me answer. So currently, and this is what we are focusing on in the communication, is really to basically get the communication of our action right. So we are currently talking to a lot of media. This is not only happening in Germany, but also on an international level. We already had now in-depth interviews with Handelsblatt, with FAZ, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung here in Germany. We are talking also to international media. And our goal is to really clarify the situation, to elaborate the reason why we are doing the action and the bigger picture, the motivation behind, so to really address the quality standards topic. I think this is a very important goal for the next weeks before hitting the exchange, so that everybody can see what was the real motivation, that there is a genuine team behind savedroid. This is a very important task now I'm focusing on, I'm working on. Another topic which is there, of course, is again starting indeed, as you say, classical campaigns. So of course what we want to do is we do want to address the US market and the Chinese market. As you guys know, in the ICO, for legal reasons, we of course could not address token buyers from the United States. We could not address token buyers from China. But as you also know, these are two very major cryptocurrency markets. Right, so basically once the savedroid token hits the exchange, this will be the first opportunity for guys from the US and guys from China to basically come in to the project and to come into the savedroid community. And this is really what we want to work on. So making sure that we can have more awareness in these two major and very important crypto markets. So for all the guys who have not yet been able to participate in our ICO, who could not yet have bought savedroid token, to create awareness about our exchange listing coming soon, so also to create a demand side for the savedroid token. And I think this will be key in terms of marketing strategy towards the exchange listing, to create awareness, especially in the markets which were excluded from the ICO. So this is another very important measure which we are taking here. Another step towards this one is, of course, participating in conferences, crypto conferences, roadshows. We are in a lot of conferences coming up over the next weeks and month also, which will not only just in the forefield of the exchange listing, but then also once we are exchange listed, be on a regular basis. So being present at community events, at crypto events, not only in Germany, but also abroad, to create more visibility, to create demand side, to be present in the community and to get more established there. And I think this is a work, as you already hopefully have noticed while I'm talking here, which is not done from today to tomorrow, but this kind of community work is basically an effort which takes time in order to get to a more well-known position. And that's basically what we are committed to. So Christian, this is not only happening now in the forefield of the exchange listing. Of course, there's now a very important period, but this will also continue this kind of community work once the token is listed and then to the future. So I do hope, Christian, that this gives a good answer to your question here. Then Finn is asking here, is it possible to work remote? So home office is meant for savedroid. Basically, in principle, yes, Finn. So not in full. We are still, since we are a small team of 15 only and we want to expand the team, at this point in time, we are really looking for hires here in Frankfurt. So this would be a very important thing now for at least the next 5 to 10 positions which we want to fill. Home office in general or remote work is one thing which we as a startup, of course, do support, but not in 100% of the time. So we do need some physical presence here, at least at the beginning, for sure a bit more. But then once there's a good relationship, once there's also a good team spirit, one knows everyone very well, of course, this can then also be migrated into a more remote working style. So if that could be an interesting option for you, Finn, please reach out to us, send us in your application. Happy to talk and to discuss what the options are, but also to be very upfront and very open with you. Basically 100% remote will not be an option for us at this point in time as a starting setup. So at the start, it should really be here in Frankfurt, and then we could see how this could emerge into a more remote work setup, because for us it's now very important to gain speed, and I think it's still a bit different also in the digital world. If you can sit all together, it's a bit more efficient, we can be faster, and speed is now really crucial for us in order to deliver against our timeline. That's the reason for this decision which we have taken here regarding the remote work, which we are in principle open for. Then also Finn asking, are we going to integrate IOTA? Definitely at one point in time. As you can see in our roadmap, the beginning, the beta, will be able to handle Bitcoin and Ethereum only, right? So we are really focusing on these two major mainstream coins at the beginning, to have an MVP, a minimal viable product, which you know from the startup world, in order to be fast. But from there, we want to increase the number of coins and tokens significantly. And for sure, we will integrate the top 10, the top 20 tokens very soon, and then basically it's going to be the first tokens which we will integrate into our application, into our ecosystem. Therefore, as IOTA is far up in the coin ranking, IOTA will definitely be one of them, and they will be integrated then once we expand the feature set of our application. But for the beta, it's really only going to be Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the other coins will be added over time. So from there, we then incrementally, in a very agile way, upgrading our product, and then also upgrading the number of coins being integrated into the savedroid ecosystem. So yes, that's going to take a bit of time. Then Sergio is asking, or is writing here, that's all fine, but please give us a clear statement about the listing. We've been waiting for a long time and still have no official news. If this is AMA, then you should reply to the questions. Otherwise, upload this video on YouTube. I'm losing the face of this project's credibility. Sergio, I don't know if you have now joined maybe a bit later. In the beginning, I already answered very clear about the timeline, but happy to also repeat it. I would not now go into too much details because the other ones, I think, who are already here from the beginning probably have already heard what I've said. So how we are now going about this is, right, what I said is the minting is now done from the public sale. The bounty tokens are now being minted. This will be done basically by end of this week. And then there is going to be, starting also by end of this week, the community voting. And the community voting will now be two options. The community, everybody can vote by the number of SVD he or she is holding. So meaning if you have 100 SVD, you have 100 votes. If you have 1 million SVD, you have 1 million votes. And you can now decide between two options. Option one being, we list immediately. Once the minting is done and once the voting is over, we list immediately at HitBTC, TIDEX, IDEX, and Bancor. This is option number one. And option number two is we wait for the major 5 exchange, for the top 5 exchange, until this one is ready. And the reason for this one not being ready at this point in time is that they are currently reviewing their listing requirements. This has nothing to do with our project. This is a general decision of this exchange. And once this is done, then we can kickstart the listing there, right? So it's just a matter of time. Currently, the most realistic timeline, as I said earlier, for this one is roughly 1 month. But I need to clarify this one, and we will clarify to come up with a better estimate of this timeline for option number 2 before the community voting will start. So basically, in the community voting, you will have the 2 options. And with the 2 options, there will be also a proposed listing date for the 2 options so that you guys can take an informed decision, right? So if then the community voting starts by end of this week, say on Friday, then you will have 3 days in order to vote for these 2 options. Every option will be detailed out very clearly. I've just now summed that up, how the options look like. And for every option, we will give a timeline. So then everybody can vote, and we will follow the votes from the community. So whatever is the preferred choice of the community, we will then execute upon, right? And therefore, the decision should then be taken in 3 days after the voting. So basically by the beginning of next week. And I think this is then the point in time when we will have an answer to this question already. I hope, Sergio, that this answers your question in full. And as you see, I take up your question. I take up all of the question. This is our promise, as we always do. So there's no point in not answering any questions. We will never do that. And of course, we will also add further YouTube videos, but only then once the AMA is over. So all our AMAs are then uploaded to YouTube, by the way. So if someone has, for example, missed the first part of this one and is still interested, you can then watch the full AMA on YouTube just a bit after the live session is done. So all of the AMAs are also uploaded to YouTube. Double is then asking here, what's the name of the top 5 exchange? Again here, I beg your pardon, please, because I've already mentioned we are in a confidentiality agreement here. We cannot disclose the name. I would love to do so, but it's a requirement of the exchange to keep that confidential. Actually, this exchange has the right of first disclosure, so that's why we cannot reveal the name. Unfortunately, we are sticking to that because we are bound by this agreement. Therefore, the name, unfortunately, cannot be announced. Double, I hope you can understand that it's not our choice, but it's a compliant regulatory prerequisite we need to stick to. Then Finn is saying, by the way, I really love your PR stunt, great work. That was the best move to go viral. which other ICO went to Bloomberg and other major news all over the world. Thanks for the feedback. As I already said, as we reflected on this one, the reach was there. Unfortunately, the message behind, the reasoning behind got a bit lost. This was the bad thing behind. We are now working on this one. So thanks, Finn, for the kind words, for the positive feedback. Nevertheless, we now really need to make sure that the motivation, the content part behind, so really going all in for higher quality standards in the ICO market to make this market more sustainable, because currently there's too much scam around. We really are working hard in order to get this very clearly out in the market and to understand everybody our motivation behind. Then Alex is asking here, are you going to publish the amounts of different cryptos you have collected during the ICO? So for this one, probably we are not, what we will disclose, and I've already disclosed today at the beginning, is basically what is the total number of tokens we have sold, then the total number of tokens which are there, how much tokens are going to be burned, how much money has been raised. What we will not do in the very detailed level is basically go crypto by crypto. As you guys know, we have at the end now accepted more than 55 different cryptos, right? So the complexity behind that is very high. Then also, if we look to the other different ways, means of payment, which we had there, we had basically the payment in bank transfer, in Sofortüberweisung, in credit card. We would not want to go into this level of detail because I think it's just a huge load of number. It doesn't add much to basically the total numbers which we are disclosing anyway. So this, Alex, is not planned. And then we have basically here, Khaled is asking how much is the opening price of the coin when it hits the exchanges. Yeah, I'm also interested in the answer to this question. So if you know someone who can answer, please also refer him or her to me. Just kidding on this one. Honestly, I cannot speculate on this one, right? I think here we will really need to see how the market condition is at this very day. We will need to see how the supply, how the demand is for the token. I think it does not help if we now speculate around the price. I think this can be a great discussion in the community. So, Khaled, what I would ask you for, if you're interested to discuss this topic with the community, please feel free in order to bring this discussion up in the Telegram channel. I think there many people are interested also in the same question, and you can have a good discussion about this one. But please understand that we ourselves cannot really speculate about that. By the way, if someone is, and this is the only hint I can give here, if someone is interested in the token economics and the token model behind, which is a simulation of potential price outcomes in the future, we do have on our website available a free Excel model for download. So if you go to savedroid.com, ico.savedroid.com/token, you will be able to download an Excel model in which you can simulate possible token price outcomes in the future, and you can do sensitivity analyses by changing different parameters in the model, and that will help you to see how potentially the token price could be affected in the future. So Khaled, this could also be one option for you in order to test around and play around a bit. But other than that, I can unfortunately not comment myself, but it's a good idea to actually discuss this question inside the community. So please feel free to do that on Telegram. And I wish a good discussion. Then Vinod is asking, basically here, do you have an agreement with Top 5 Exchange for listing? I already elaborated on this one. Let me just recap briefly. So Vinod, on this one, as I said, we do have basically one Top 5 Exchange where we now need to wait for their rework of the listing requirements. We have today, we had a very good call with this very exchange. It was a very productive call, so it all looks very positive. The only thing is now we need to wait until the final requirements are there, and once they are there, we can then execute, right? So now it's really a question of time. And I think this time, unfortunately, we need to give to the exchange, and we need to be patient because they cannot speed up any further. So this currently the estimate would take 1 month more. It's not about our project, it's about the general policy. So it's the same for all the tokens at the moment. It does not change anything about an individual project, but it's really now basically letting the guys finalize the standards, then executing, and then basically getting the token listed. And here it's really the time component, which is the one which requires a bit patience. So Vinod, I hope that this goes to your point. Then OG is asking, is there any curtailment in the future making plan? Because Google, Facebook, etc. is blocking crypto ads. Indeed, so here the status, I guess most of you guys in the community already know. Facebook has already blocked ads for cryptos. Google will block crypto ads starting from June. So in May, it's still possible in order to do crypto advertisements. In June, it will not be possible anymore. This really is a challenge. I think it's an even harder challenge for crypto projects which are then running ICOs starting from there, because what you will face is basically that the potential advertisement space, so the supply of ads, is going down. Facebook is out, Google is out, and all the advertisement space is getting much more narrow and will focus on the crypto portals. I think for these guys, it's the perfect hour to increase the prices, so it will get much more expensive and the competition will be much higher. I think that they will be hit the hardest if the ICO is not yet over. If it then comes, and I think that this is basically also where your point is going to, how can we promote our crypto savings app in the future? I think here the good news is that our crypto savings app in the first place is addressing people who are newbies to the crypto scene. Right? And I think this helps a lot, because here our belief, and this will be our strategy, is that we can do a lot of advertisement on websites which are not crypto specific, but which are in other fields for people which could be potentially be interested in crypto. Right? So it can be news sites, for example, where there are news reports about crypto topics for beginners, but which are not basically hardcore crypto websites. You can do a lot on the content marketing side, which is basically educating people about the 101 of crypto, about really the basics, how to buy crypto, how to basically set up a wallet and stuff like that. So again, here you can do a lot. So I think our focus in terms of marketing will really be to get all these newbies onto the savedroid app, because that's the plan of savedroid: simplify crypto savings to the max so that we can bring it to the masses. And therefore I think we are at the positive situation that we would not be in such a hard advertisement competition with the hardcore crypto community users, which will then be really focusing on the crypto websites. But I think our opportunity, our upside, is that we can address so much users which are today not part of the crypto community, that this will give us much more comfort in advertising and will also offer us lower pricing for advertising. So I do hope, OG, that this goes into your question and is answering your question. Then Kufi is asking, do you have a development team working on the AI? I also already mentioned today we do have just signed up Professor Dr. Danko Nikolic, who's a real capacity in this field of AI. He brings more than 20 years of experience, Max Planck Institute, diverse set of universities he has been working for in the fields of brain research and science. So I think he has all the assets in order to lead our AI team. We already have on board Gautam, who is a strong data scientist. We are currently in talks with a few candidates in order to get more experienced data scientists to the team. So yes, exactly to your point, Kufi, basically our plan is to start with a team, Danko as the lead plus 2 strong data scientists, then expanding the team, Danko plus 3 in the future. So we will have a dedicated and experienced IT team, AI team working on this topic to really come up with an algorithm which is not just basic stuff, but which deserves the name of self-learning and which deserves the name eventually of AI. But also, of course, this is always a journey over time. You cannot build this from today to tomorrow, but we have already set up the team. We're going to expand the team, and that's going to be all in-house, so the assets are with us. I think this is important that we can also show here in terms of recruiting. We are already delivering towards the milestones which are on our roadmap for the future, which is then really delivering all the AI which is there. Then we have here from Al Madla one question. What can you say about the negative comments of Warren Buffett and Bill Gates about cryptocurrencies? I mean, on this one, I think our perspective to the whole crypto market and to the whole crypto world is, and I think also was from the beginning, a bit a different one, because we are not the guys who are the hardcore crypto nerds. We just entered the space also mid last year, and we entered it for a good reason, and we are in there for a good reason, because we believe in the technology and we believe in the future potential of the technology. And my personal take on this one is always that I think the crypto world potentially could be at a development step where the internet was in 1998, right? I remember back to my first modem, which I had making all the crazy sounds when it dialed up to the internet, and then you're visiting a website which looked like a teletext site on the television, right? Which was really crappy. The user experience completely sucked. It was slow. The technology was not there. Who would have believed that only a few years later one could actually not live anymore being 5 minutes offline, right? And the internet has really revolutionized the whole world and the way we live together, we collaborate together. Now the question is, what if we could be at a comparable point for currencies right now? If this would be the 98 which we had for the internet, is the 2018 for the cryptocurrencies, and what would that mean for the future? So yes, I'm convinced that there is a strong future for crypto. On the other hand side, no, potentially it's not gonna be the currencies which will dominate the future, which we already know today. And again, here my parallel to the internet development would be, if you look to the players at the beginning, there was a big company called AOL, right? Everybody used to have an AOL email address. Now count the people who still operate an AOL email address today, right? And if you look to the champions as of today, Google, Facebook, only emerged out of the third wave of the internet companies, and all the initial players are not there anymore. And the ones who dominate the market today are basically the ones who only were incorporated, who only started their business once the market already had a broader user base, that the technology was already improved, and it basically was only a later wave of startup which came in, which now dominates the market. And I could see a very similar development to the cryptocurrency market. So saying the technology would remain, but the coins which would dominate the future are probably not even there yet, right? And this is the perception we are sharing for this market. So we do see a bright future, and therefore also, and this is then the natural link back to our portfolio, which we want to offer for our savings users. Therefore, we do not believe in Bitcoin, or we do not believe in Ethereum, but we do believe in cryptocurrencies. So if you believe in cryptocurrencies but not in single coins, the only way in order to participate from the upside is to build a portfolio. And that's what we are doing, right? So this is consistent, by the way, our product offering with our future perception of the market, saying, as we believe in the technology and the breakthrough of the market, what does make sense is to get into a diversified portfolio of different coins of tokens, because that's the only way to make sure to invest in the coins and tokens that will dominate the future, not only that dominate today's world of crypto. And that's basically our stance to it. So I hope that this a bit goes into your direction, but all the other I can say, these two names you're bringing up there are huge capacities in the market. What would I dare to basically doubt what these guys are saying? I think is two of the most smartest people in the whole world. So therefore, I just wanted to also share my opinion to these topics. But I think definitely these are guys whose opinion you cannot just easily ignore. I think the names speak for themselves. So therefore, definitely fair points. Cool. Let me look to my community team. Do we have further questions? Not at this point in time, as I see. So therefore, I would call it the end here. We have now, I think, 1.5 hours roughly of AMA. I think it's also a good timing. It's roughly in line what we had also in the last 2 sessions. So therefore, guys, let me just briefly wrap up. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. If you should be around in Frankfurt, in the Frankfurt area tomorrow, so Wednesday, 9th of May, starting from 18 p.m., so 6 p.m., sorry, I'm in German time already, starting from 6 p.m., you are cordially invited to our community barbecue event. It takes place here, Hanauer Landstraße 121 in Frankfurt, and you will find the event link just here in the comment section of the video. So just click through and please sign up for the event, that we can buy enough beer and sausages, and that there will be a good event tomorrow. We are already looking forward. Today we have already more than 100 signups, more than 200 people additionally being interested in the event. So hopefully we get together a nice crowd and we can finally raise the class to the savedroid community. I'm already looking forward a lot to this event. The whole team, in fact, is, and will be great to see as many guys as you as possible. And then the only other important thing to keep in mind is the community voting coming up about the exchange listing plan. And this one will be by end of this week. We will notify you by email, by Telegram, by the social media channels, so there will not be any chance that you could miss that in the world. We will make sure, and therefore please stay tuned for this one. It's going to be open for 3 days, and we're going to listen to the voice of the community. We will basically execute the strategy which you will vote for, either the fast listing without the top 5 or the bit extended listing plan with the top 5. It's your choice, and the community feedback is important for us. Therefore, we are putting up this voting. With this, I would want to close it here. Thanks so much for being with me tonight, for being with us, and would be great to see as many as you as possible tomorrow night at our community barbecue